So good day, good morning, good afternoon for wherever you're joining us today. I would like to take a moment before we get started to just acknowledge the unprecedented events taking place. The Black Swan events in recent years have not only had devastating individual impacts, but there's also global impacts on commodity prices, economies, supply chains, and communities, all adding further challenges to the freight transport and logistics industry. Now, many of our clients and also our staff have been directly impacted by recent events, and I hope that you and your loved ones are safe. Today, we're going to talk about how to assess your technology investments. What are the elements you should consider when deciding how best to modernize your operations? We'll hear from Dan and his terminal MBOX and their journey to a TOS solution. And then we'll end with a focus on the return on investment business case, and of course, some questions and answers. So please do submit those questions for us. Should you build or buy a terminal operating system? Build or buy? That is the question. And you're all here today on this webinar because there was a triggering pain point you're experiencing, leading you to consider a new terminal operating system. And that journey might look like the steps on this slide. This is what a typical buyer's journey looks like. There are different steps, starting with your purchase triggers, identifying needs to solve your problems that your organization is having. So first, you would identify your needs. What are your specific pain points? You may then do solution discovery, a bit of market research. You want to see what's available. Evaluation of options, determining what makes sense for your specific needs based on the paths available to you. Then, of course, price negotiation and delivery of promise. When you're at the beginning stages, you don't think too much about which vendors you want to explore further, but rather focus on accurately identifying your business needs and define your purchase triggers before moving on to the next step. This will ensure that you get the perfect solution to meet your true business needs. And these are some of the general challenges you may face when assessing investments, and specifically an investment core to your business operations, like a TOS. Many terminals are still using paper, Excel, or outdated in-house solutions. And this way of operating poses the following challenges. Dealing with too much paper, and this paper can cause some follow-on challenges, like unable to issue timely reports. There's a lag between reality and generating the underlying data to support the kind of reporting you need. Measuring productivity or tracking terminal operations and inventory. Again, due to that same lag between reality and entering data into your system. Enforcing IT protocol and security standards. With in-house systems, you need to have a strong IT methodology to ensure your systems are secure. Limitations and recurring costs with maintaining your software, like hiring, training, and retaining IT staff. We often work with terminals in very remote locations or areas where skilled IT staff is an absolute premium. And even when you can hire the staff, often retaining them can be very difficult, especially with foreign staff, which may have many lucrative employment options always available. Costly software upgrades and enhancements. And I've talked to some terminals where they don't even plan for such updates. And these can sometimes be 2 to 3 times the cost than their initial software build when looked at over a 5-year plus horizon. With growing concerns on cybersecurity, We're seeing almost weekly reports of ransomware attacks and more governments considering their logistics chains as critical infrastructure. Ignoring such upgrades is no longer an option. And integrations, and moreover, maintaining such integrations with all manner of systems, billing, EDI, port community systems, not to mention your own telemetry and other reporting or automation systems. Some terminals we've talked to have as many as 15 different systems connected to their TOS, all of which are considered mission critical. More of these systems are cloud systems, meaning updates are constantly pushed, and the owners of those systems realize they need to constantly update their own software to patch security vulnerabilities. And we often talk to terminals where the cost of maintaining such integrations sometimes becomes their purchase trigger, especially if they continuously have to go back to re-engineer or redesign an integration because of a seemingly simple API change with their business partner. And of course, the needs of the business itself changing, like managing different cargo types. Now, this is a pretty good problem to have. The business is doing well. You've taken on new services. Perhaps you've added new revenue generating services to your operation. But can your current system support that without costly rework and upgrades to push out such changes to support those operational needs of the business? So you want to analyze your current business operations and ask yourself, how are you locating containers today? Do you have to send someone into the yard to look for it and report back the exact location? If a truck was coming to pick up a container, do you know where it is? Do you know how to direct that truck efficiently to avoid congestion and safety issues in your yard? And setting up your terminal and yard in your TOS system should be simple. As simple as clicking on the map to create a block, new warehouses or heaps to really represent your physical yard structure. And you need flexibility. As your business evolves and grows, you'll need to change these. Perhaps create new bulk areas and quickly be able to see your new terminal layout and design. You want to be able to group your cargo by criteria, ideally flexible criteria, to easily design yard strategies your terminal needs to make efficient use of your available yard space. And additional services like reefer monitoring, pre-trip inspections, plug-in, plug-outs, cleaning or fumigation, damage recording. You want to be able to add these to your operation whenever you need them, all in real time. And this should be quicker than changing the physical layout, but for many terminals with their in-house systems, this is often quite painful, and there could be a large lag between the software catching up to the new reality of the business. They may need to wait months to see invoicing catch up to the business they're executing and really recognize the revenue of those new services. Well, if you're doing lots of manual work, you'll often have a different kind of lag, that of entering the data into your system to ensure invoicing and visibility. So a simple question to ask is, how many people do you have working in the yard to do manual processes today? How many team members do you have to run your operations? And how many do you allocate to doing manual processes? How do they communicate? At any of these steps where data is being inputted into a system in mass, perhaps your billing and invoicing system, is an opportunity for a mistake, a typo. This is tedious work. Doing data entry in bulk is often error prone. So how many people do you employ just to double check these invoices are correct? Billing your customers for work performed is quite important. I think we all agree. And we often see closing that revenue leakage as one of the biggest drivers for investing in a new terminal operating system. And when it comes to providing customer service, it's obvious you need a process to track and charge your customers. But how are you doing this? Are you tracking your container handling? Is it manual? Are there opportunities to save costs, perhaps by minimizing such unproductive handling? What does your billing process look like? What about invoicing and payments? Where can you streamline your customer service, providing better service for reduced costs by making your team more efficient and reducing that manual work and errors? And you need to consider your other critical and non-critical systems. What integrations with other applications are really critical to your operations? Put that list of integrations needed in notes so you can include them later, either in a formal RFP or in your discussion with solution providers as you reach the next stage of that buyer's journey, the solution discovery. As an example, with Octopi, we use standard REST APIs to integrate with other applications. This gives our clients the ability to use other applications in their terminal, avoiding the need to move backwards in their progress. And with webhooks that push event updates to other applications, they can leverage their own in-house development team or local IT professionals to build system integrations as and when they need them. And with features like scheduled reports, this can streamline integrations with CSV files regularly emailed to customers or other applications for processing. So after you've covered your bases and identified your needs, you want to store these needs and requirements and consult with different teams to make sure you've captured all the pain points you want addressed. And an often overlooked one is the user experience. It is not enough that we build products that function, that are understandable and usable. We also need to build products that bring joy and excitement, pleasure and fun, and yes, beauty to people's lives. No, that's not an original quote. This oft-quoted design principle is from Don Norman, the author of The Design of Everyday Things and Emotional Design. And we've seen this play out very clearly. If the system is hard to use, no matter how feature-rich and functional, the problems you are trying to solve will reappear. If it is too hard to track movements and record data in your system, your users will stop using it, and you end up spending a lot of money on a solution that didn't solve your revenue leakage and tracking problem. And have you thought about convenience of use? Do you want a solution, perhaps on-prem, tied to your physical location and infrastructure in your terminal? Or would your business benefit from a solution that can be flexible and accessible from outside the terminal? With events like COVID, we all got an appreciation of remote work and which of your staff could really benefit from doing their jobs flexibly, wherever they may be. What kind of security systems do you also need to invest in if you need to give this remote access to your on-prem solution? It could be that cost, and of course, the staff to maintain that software may not be somewhere you want to invest, especially when software as a service solutions can provide you this out of the box without the extra maintenance overhead. So after you've considered all the topics I mentioned, you're now exploring your options. Build a solution yourself or buy a ready-made off-the-shelf solution for your terminal operating system. So let's explore some of the challenges. When it comes to buying a TOS, not all TOSs are created equal. So it's wise to consider the time and budget you have. When do you need the TOS by? The years or the months you have? Consider the time and allocate a window, a time cushion to your implementation timeline. Plan for pitching your solution to your leadership team and driving that buy-in and consensus with your proposal. Of course, you want to allocate the budget for the TOS itself, but also the services to implement. And don't neglect the learning curve. You are taking on an IT project. There is change management, especially if you're buying a sophisticated or complex system. This could be a steep learning curve for your staff. Now, on the other hand, if you're considering building the TOS solution yourself, you'll need to plan for resources. How many IT staff do you need? What about user experience, user design, or front-end development staff? How will you maintain that system yourself longer term? And you may want to think about hiring specific IT admin for cybersecurity to help reduce your attack vectors and prevent hacks. And there's all manner of events that can be hard to predict and hard to foresee with big impact. Those black swan events we talked about, COVID-19 delays, political interruption and instability like we see in Ukraine. These combined with regular supply chain cycles like the semiconductor shortage every 7 years has led to massive delays in getting hardware with very long lead times. So we're seeing more and more requests for cloud systems to reduce the impact of these black swan events. And with the war in Ukraine, we already see delays to supplies and materials and products cut off for companies that need to make cables, seat covers, and other equipment in neighboring countries like Moldova and Belarus. Building in-house infrastructure is time-consuming and expensive, even without such black swan events to consider. So when it comes to research for solution discovery, do your research and build a checklist. Talk to your peers, read industry articles, do web searches, have those internal meetings to map out your requirements and identify your pain points. Determine with your team, if you're building a solution yourself, how much staff will you need? The time to execute on the approach and the overall cost to the business. As you compare your options, consider which will give you more control over future changing business needs, which will be the easiest to maintain over time. And if you have perhaps specific corporate policies that should influence or guide your decision. And of course, seek your budget, get approvals, and send out your requirements or your requests for proposals and compare vendors. And if you need any help with such a checklist, do not hesitate to contact me. I will be happy to provide you a guide. Now, cloud solutions are turnkey. And from the start, we built Octopi on modern cloud technologies, so your terminal is ready for the future. Octopi is built on top of Amazon Web Services with servers housed in high security facilities. This lets the solution easily scale to support your growing business with continual monitoring and additional servers seamlessly added when needed. And with a cloud-hosted system, new releases are pushed out regularly with new features that benefit our entire customer base. It's all about faster time to value. It can often take months to start using that software that you need today to move your operations forward. Now with Octopi, implementation and onboarding can be done in as little as 12 weeks. And a true turnkey solution needs to have a fast implementation to get your return on investment quickly. So let's talk about building the business case to drive buy-in from your executive team to invest in technology. Now, we heard from Dayon and MBOX how they went through their buying journey. They had no previous TOS experience, But they did their research and they evaluated their options. Their needs were for data automation, avoiding manual data entry and mistakes, and having options to collaborate and share data with carriers and customers. And they needed an easy-to-use solution. So they considered building their own solution, but quickly abandoned this because they wanted to focus on their core business, which is running the terminal, not building software. And as you heard, Octopi met all of their needs with the confidence of a system provided by Navis. So with Octopi, a swimmingly simple cloud-based software as a service TOS, this certainly should be an option you consider if you are looking to build a TOS. It's easy to deploy and implement, perfect for cargo terminals with limited resources. And it allows you to easily digitize your operations to reduce your reliance on paper and spreadsheets. And it's software as a service, letting you leave the maintenance, support, and upgrades to the experts. Now with Octopi, we focused on real-time KPIs. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Business intelligence is an aesthetic built into the Octopi application, with dashboards to help you build a data-driven culture at your terminal to improve performance. And there are over 150 reports built into Octopi, and all standard EDI is supported. And we still continue to receive requests from our customers. New Octopi features are released weekly and deployed without downtime. So that software you buy today remains relevant and grows with you tomorrow. I mentioned reducing revenue leakage is often one of the biggest drivers for a new terminal operating system. And this can happen through improved claims management, billing processes, and systems integrations. And we're not just a TOS vendor, but we strive to be your business partner today and moving forward with you as your business grows. Now with Octopi, we have deployed our customers on 5 continents: container terminals, general cargo terminals, port authorities, depots, warehouses, and more. And on this slide, you can see some typical customer profiles. Small to mid-sized terminals, be the marine, intermodal, or depots, about less than 200,000 TEU annual throughput, that handle a mix of cargo. And they generally find a large return on investment by digitizing their manual paper processes or updating processes from their older legacy TOS system. So when you're thinking about your build or buy decision, you should really consider the value of your solution. With Octopi, it is a true software as a service system, intuitive and available out of the box. It allows you to modernize your processes with easy accessibility, better collaboration, and security, allowing you to drive process standardization from onboarding to full system functionality. And it's cost effective, allowing you to simplify your software management. With many built-in dashboards, KPIs, and APIs, your reports and real-time data visibility is at your fingertips. And of course, our support is 24/7. Providing continuous IT support can be expensive, and this is built into our product offering. So for those of you taking on a build or buy journey, I wish you luck. And if you need pointers on the buying guide, I'll be happy to provide you this. So please don't hesitate to contact us. And thank you for your time today. Now we're gonna jump into the Q&A with Stephen, and I'll be joined by my colleague, Louis Hutton, on the call. As you heard in the introduction, Louis is responsible for all of our implementations in Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific. So please do give us your questions. We will answer them in real time, and feel free to ask all about how does it really take to implement this TOS? What's the real time? What's the processes involved? And of course, questions you may have for MBOX and Dayon also. Thank you.